Now, this necessarily ever-present question of what to do now, whether to act or not act, to do or not to do, not to be or not to be, because there is no choice in being. Being is what it is. So, to the question of doing, what to do or not do, it seems to me that there are two directly opposed opportunities present in the ever-present now, the place in which the doing or not doing occurs. Now, in order to understand this, we need first to realize that if we are in a viewing position of limited knowing, such as one, say, in a valley, not seeing what is over the hill or mountain, the surrounding landscape, say in a bowl, then your position is necessarily one of limited knowing as to the paths to take to reach your Shangri-La. Now, the person on the hillside, or perhaps better still, a person flying in a helicopter directly above, seeing all of the things that you don't see, seeing the roads that you may follow that may end up in a bridge that's down and can't be fixed. So immediately through this example we can see that there are two perspectives by which sensory information about stimulus objects, dogs, cats, trees, grass, birds, stimulus object and their associations. We press the stimulus object of a button and a lift arrives, and so we make an association with the lift button and the arrival of the stimulus object of the lift. Now, if we understand, therefore, that there is the position of limited knowing as to the nature of the stimulus objects and their stimulus associations, the full nature, then to a greater extent, or a lesser extent, we are going to be imperfect from that particular viewing perspective as regards our choices and the bringing to us the experience of fulfillment. Therefore, if our emotion, energy motion, that which energizes motion, is energized through beliefs about the nature of stimulus objects and their associations and their ability to bring us fulfillment, then it is a ground floor, bottom of the valley, restricted knowing and vision, one might say, an approach that wears particular glasses formed of the network of beliefs to perceive, but perceive poorly. Poorly or not, we have a situation where emotion, the moving, choosing force, always directed in the direction of improvement in pleasure and the avoidance of emotional pain. This energy for action will be channeled through beliefs which form perceptions, which determine reality, in particular regard to how best reach one's goals. This system of interconnected ideas and beliefs is like a network, say on the radio, of radio fear. Radio fear because the only enemy is potential obstacles in the darkness to the forward movement for the momentum of travel that is always present with the conscious mind. Now, in this regard to the valley and the hilltop or helicopter metaphor, the only alternative in terms of the investment of emotional energy is through a different belief system that holds that there is knowledge and wisdom available to that mind which is coherent with it, to that mind which is able to tune into this wisdom or higher view taken from the hillside or the helicopter above. This then forming the second choice. The choice either to, say, invest in the belief patterns and channels of thinking and thoughts and ideas of, let's say, an ego self, which is rooted in the idea of the entity being separate from that which it desires to manipulate, such that it bears a separate, potentially antagonistic relationship with all it perceives, particularly if all it perceives is not conforming to its desires. And the alternative channeling of energy into the recognition of not knowing what to do or how to be to feel fulfilled, and be open and ready for and listening to another way of seeing, another way of perceiving moment by moment as regards what to do. And so this other way is the way of questioning, what should I be doing now? How should I be perceiving these current circumstances? And what is my best form of action? This other way of channeling motivational energy, emotional energy, is 180 degrees in the opposite direction of the ego energy, which is an energy of grabbing what one believes one wants and needs for fear of otherwise losing it because of a competition with all the forces that are there that are in some way in competition for it. This energy, the other energy of emotion, channeled in the direction of acting in order to listen, is an energy of giving up, in a sense, belief or trust in the ego system of judgments. Judgment being when one accepts one's perceptions as right and certain, such that the system is rigidified. This serving system, where the mind intensely tunes into radio fear and grabbing, is 180 degrees in the opposite direction of a readiness to die to that system and give it up completely, in the readiness to search for another system of understanding, another system of knowledge, through the acknowledgement that one just simply doesn't know what to do in order to do what is right and find, through doing what is right, a certain sense of fulfillment through self-coherence, self-integrity, self-consonance. One might say that one direction of channeling what is essentially the same energy is in the direction of fear, guilt and attack, in an attempt to grab what one thinks one must have in order to feel fulfilled, and trade that by deferring completely to the idea that one doesn't know what one wants, one doesn't know how to be, one doesn't know where one has come from or where one is going, so that the mind then is ready to be still in the moment of listening in order to find out, rather than continue with the background chatter of mind, allowing it to come forward into mind and possess you. Now, it seems to me the way forward from this, or out of this ego forest, is to research the mind in regard to the times it spends worrying and feeling angry or sad, in order to ascertain what are the belief structures and definitions and ideas that are held of the self, the world and the future that are creating this, so that falls, in a sense, like a child learning to walk, when the mind falls from its intention to be a listener, an observer always, and in order to ascertain what is the best thing to do through the wisest way of seeing, and thus in time learn that there is another way of seeing things that is 180 degrees in the opposite direction from the ego way and the way that you've been familiar with. But of course, having the understanding that old habits will die hard, and maybe there's a resistance of better the devil that you know than you don't know, which is to say, the entrance of fear that if you let go and if you're born again, in a sense, to this new way of believing and seeing, you will fall as one falls off a cliff. However, it is necessary for a person to tentatively put their feet into the water when it's freezing, get used to their toes being at the level of the water, and then progress at a tolerable pace, so that in a sense one puts one's feet out to find out if there is a stepping stone in the mud across the field, and having reached that stepping stone, be content to just move to the next, until there is a growing trust that as one walks down this path of trust, then one is never tempted or pushed beyond what one is able to bear, and that there is indeed an increasing synchronicity by which learning is facilitated and the old habits can die away, into an increasing sense that there is indeed much more to life than can be perceived from the ground floor, and that something very strange is going on in terms of the fact that whatever I give out, I get back, such that if in the moment of my learning and listening I'm always ready to smile at the mirror of life and appreciate it and regularly recognize my appreciation, then life, as in a mirror, will smile back when I'm ready to smile at all that comes to me as an opportunity to learn and grow and become more and more at one with the wisdom that I would prefer possess me than the wisdom of limitation, anger, guilt and attack, and grabbing, of course, and jealousy.